The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
What truth?
That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind.
Hello, and this video is a continuation from my last video in regards to the Chris KABA event, the ritual of that event, and how it links to the Queen's death and also Liz Truss and Boris Johnson. Now, this video is a continuation on more scripted events that are linked with the Chris KABA death ritual, and some of the things I found within these events show that they are very much linked with the Chris KABA death ritual, and I will go through them in this video. And if you haven't watched my last video, I suggest you watch it, so then this video will make more sense, especially when we go into some of the numbers, i.e. the 33 and so on. And I'll be breaking down the Leon Edwards event and the Anthony Joshua event, which happened a day apart. It technically was the same day, just because they were in different countries, and in the States they're 5 hours behind. So it fell on the Saturday in both countries, but in the UK it would have been Saturday for the Anthony Joshua event and the Sunday for the Leon Edwards event. But it makes no difference because they still link with the numbers regardless. We'll start with the Leon Edwards event. So Leon Edwards became the new UFC welterweight champion on the 21st in the UK and the 20th in the USA. He became the new welterweight champion by defeating Kamaru Usman, who had been champion for a very long time. And the significance of this event, obviously Leon Edwards he's Jamaican born, represents Britain. The significance of this event is that it connects with the Chris KABA event. This event took place in the 33rd week of the year, which was 3 weeks before the death of Chris KABA and the death of Queen Elizabeth. And this event was interesting because there was a lot of scripting, and I'll show towards the end of this section that Leon Edwards actually did predictive programming by telling us what was about to transpire 3 weeks later, which I will go and I'll show as I'm breaking it down. He actually did predictive programming, which is something that these guys do because they actually tell us what they're going to do. But again, you have to understand symbolism and be able to read between the lines so that you know exactly when they're doing it. And one of their actual rituals is revelation of the method, where they actually reveal the things they're about to do. It's one of their laws within their cults that they have to reveal their methods, and we give them a form of implied consent because we do not object against what they're revealing to us. We simply just accept it because they do tell us. And he did reveal through predictive programming what was about to transpire merely 3 weeks later. So we noticed that going into Leon Edwards, he goes by the name of Leon Rocky Edwards. And the way he won the fight was like a Rocky type movie. If you've seen Rocky, that's how Rocky won a lot of his major fights, like almost losing for the most part and then somehow finding a way to win. So it's like a classic Rocky type way of winning a fight. That's literally how Leon Edwards won his fight, in a Rocky type way, by losing the majority of it and then coming back and winning out of nowhere, pretty much. And he goes by the name Leon Rocky Edwards, which is interesting because the gematria for Leon Rocky Edwards, when you compare it to Chris KABA, they literally share 3 of their 4 ciphers. Technically 4. They share the 72, the 3-6, and the 6-3, which is 3-6 reversed, and then the 27, which is 7-2 reversed. They literally share the gematria ciphers in pretty much all the ciphers, and that's a huge connection, especially when you consider the other connections within the event, which it will be going through. So that's really interesting. It also connects to Liz Truss as well. Rocky with the 7-2 and the 3-6 and the 6-3, which is 3-6 reversed. They all connect with each other. Now also, the fight took place exactly 2 weeks and 2 days before the killing of Chris KABA, which is the 22, the 2-2. It took place 2 weeks and 2 days, which is quite interesting that it took place exactly 2 weeks and 2 days before the death of Chris KABA. And this fight happened on the 33rd week of the year. The 33rd week of the year, and happened 2 weeks and 2 days before the Chris KABA event, which is very interesting that it was that amount of time before the event. And as you know, if you watch my last video, Chris has the 33 in his gematria, and this event took place on the 33rd week, and Chris's name has the gematria 33. The event also took place in the Vivint Arena, the Leon Edwards fight, and Vivint also has the gematria 33. He went through the 33 in the number of deception, and this happened in the 33rd week of the year, and 33 is the full reduction for Vivint. And also Vivint has 9-6, which is the age the Queen died, so the connection is also with the Queen, as she died in the 36th week of the year, just like Chris KABA. And yeah, Vivint has 96. Masonry has 33 as well in the full reduction, just like the Vivint Arena. And we went again, the 33 is very prominent as it took place in the 33rd week of the year. And for me, I think the biggest indicator that these events are linked and they have a connection is that Leon Edwards literally predicted Chris KABA's death by his interview after the fight, in which I'll show you the clip now so you can see for yourself.
Look at me now! Lebanon! Pound for pound! Headshot dead! That's it! Headshot dead! That's it! Headshot dead! That's it!
So as you saw, Leon Edwards literally said headshot dead. That's it. And that's literally how Chris KABA died. He died from a headshot. And that was it. That literally was what happened. He died from a headshot, and that was it. And Leon Edwards literally told us what was about to happen 2 weeks and 2 days later through predictive programming. Now, obviously, people will say, well, he was talking about his fight and how he won it. Like, yeah, he gave him a head kick. The way he described it was as if he killed him. He didn't kill Kamaru Usman. Yes, he kicked him in his head, knocked him out, but he didn't kill him. He described it as if it was a killing type maneuver, like headshot. He gave him a head kick, not a headshot. And I even spoke about in the last video about the use of double entendres. They will say things and show things with double meanings. There'll be the one meaning that they want everyone to know, I guess the simpler meaning, and then they have the hidden meaning that they're telling you, but you won't realize unless you understand symbolism. And that exactly was what Leon Edwards was doing, because by describing what he said, everyone is going to automatically think he's talking about Kamaru Usman, which to some degree he is, but they're not going to know that he's also talking about how 3 weeks later, which was 2 weeks and 2 days later, Chris KABA was going to die from that very same description that Leon Edwards gave. So let's go into how the Anthony Joshua and Usyk fight also connected, because this technically happened on the same day as the Leon Edwards fight. So it was a big weekend on the 33rd week of the year. Anthony Joshua was trying to reclaim his titles from Alexander Usyk, as he lost them prior, and obviously he's a representative of Great Britain as well. So that also is a connection with the Chris KABA, because obviously it's Great Britain. And there was also connections with this event and how it links to the Chris KABA death ritual. And in case you're wondering, which I'll make a later video on, about the pictures I'm showing, the type of pictures I'm showing Anthony Joshua, these are all pictures based on symbolism and occultism. The one eye, the devil horns, and the Baphomet pose with the right hand. We'll break that down in a later video because I don't want to go off topic. So when you look at the numbers for this event, Usyk Joshua equals the 33 in reduction, and we broke that down on the masonry number 33. And then this happened on the 33rd week of the year, which is interesting. Then the 57 is due to, it also connects with the word actor, which has 33 as well, just like Usyk Joshua 33 and then actor 57. So these guys are actors. Not saying they don't know how to fight and they're fake, but they are actors. They are following orders for scripted events. So they are essentially actors. And yes, it happened in the 33rd week of the year, which is actor, and Usyk Joshua equals actor. This event also happened 2 weeks and 2 days before the Chris KABA death, as it was on the Saturday. So 33rd week of the year, 2 weeks and 2 days before the Chris KABA event. And you got Alexander, which equals the 36 that I spoke about in the last video. The Chris KABA event, which happened on the 36th week of the year. Alexander has 36 in his full reduction cipher. Anthony Joshua has 63 in the reverse full reduction, which is 3-6 reversed. So both of these characters are connected to that 36th week of the year, which is the year Chris KABA died and the Queen died. They also share 54 in their ciphers, so both of these characters are connected to each other as well. And then also what's interesting is the event took place in Saudi, which has 36 reverse full reduction. Round 9 was also very interesting because if you watch the fight, round 9 was Anthony Joshua's most successful round, in which he arguably almost won the fight. He piled on a lot of pressure in that round, and that was the most significant round in the fight. Although he lost, that was the most significant round, and they picked round 9 to make that be the most significant round. And round 9 has 36 twice within its gematria and the 7-2, which is connected to the Chris KABA event. That's very interesting. And then, as you can see, the other Anthony Joshua, Alexander, the 3-6 and 6-3, you can see the connections to the 36th week of the year. And then controversial has 171, which is Anthony Joshua, Chris KABA, and the word itself controversial. And you could argue that the Chris KABA event that week was the most controversial week of the year. And also the Anthony Joshua result of the fight was also very controversial because he lost by split decision when in actuality he clearly lost. Like, he definitely lost, and it wasn't by split decision. Like, he unanimously lost that fight, but he lost on the cards by split decision. One referee thought he won the fight and he clearly didn't. And he also shares the 171 with controversial, and then the 3-6 and the 6-3, which is the 3-6 reversed, and so does Chris KABA. And then you have the Jesuit order, which shares the 144 with Alexander, and the 54, which I highlighted earlier. They share the 54 of the Jesuit order, Alexander Usyk and Anthony Joshua. So these guys are run by the Jesuit order, and they are actors. And this is how these events are linked to the Chris KABA event that took place on the 36th week of the year. And these events happen at the right time and all interlink with what we would deem the most controversial week of the year of 2022. The week in which the Queen passed and the week in which Chris KABA passed as a black man getting killed by a police officer. And this is why it's good to understand the symbolism and understand the gematria with the numbers, because these events, again, are scripted and not real and are used for ritualistic purposes. A lot of these characters are just actors playing a role within society, just a bit like the WWE. WWE seems very, very real. It's especially when you was young. It was real for me when I was young. And then you realize that this is actually just actors playing a role on a script, and this is how the world stages for these guys. But they draw in emotion with the way they act, just like how in movies they draw in emotion. A movie seems very, very real, but at the end of the day, it's just a movie. And this is how the world stage is set up. So it's just good to ensure that you don't let your energy be taken away through these scripted events that are not real. And this is the point of why I'm actually making these videos, to show the fakeness. But yeah, that's it for the connection of these two events that happened. And I will be doing more on more topics and more people that are actors or are part of scripted events. And make sure you don't forget to like, comment and subscribe so you can see more videos, more uploads from myself. Thank you.
I always tell the truth, even when I lie. So say good night to the bad guy. Come on. The last time you're gonna see a bad guy like this again, let me tell you. You need people like me.